Hi, today we're going to talk about past tenses in Spanish. Now, in English we have one past tense, but in Spanish there are two. And so we're going to learn the difference between the two past tenses in Spanish. The past tenses are called el imperfecto y el preterito. The preterito is a completed action past tense. It is the past tense that you use when something is over and done with. It's a single event at a specific time in the past. If you look at the timeline here, you'll see that there are specific events that happened along the timeline. Each one of those would be preterito. They would be completed action, and you would use the past tense of the preterito when you translate. Also, interrupting actions are preterito. That would be, for example, like if someone is eating and I walk in the door. When I walk in the door, I'm interrupting, and so that particular action would be in el preterito. The imperfecto is continuing action, repeated actions in the past. It's also things like used to do something, was or were doing or happening in the past. Anything that's simultaneous activities, like while you were doing this other thing happened. Time, weather, age, and descriptions are all imperfect tense. And the interrupted activity, the thing that was going on, like I was eating, that is also the imperfect. Remember when someone came in, that interrupted, that was the preterito. And you'll notice the timeline on the imperfecto is more wavy. There's not cut and dry because there are things like there was a time when the three bears, like once upon a time the three bears. So it's more ongoing, no definite end actions in the past. Also remember in el imperfecto that anything that you do with your heart or your head, as in thinking, believing, considering, and remember with the heart it's things like wanting, fearing, hoping, feeling, loving. Those verbs are almost always used in el imperfecto. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the normal endings and then about the irregular endings. If you look at your verb wall, under imperfecto, you notice that for the normal verb endings, we have things like aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, aba. And for AR verbs, ER and IR verbs are ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, and ian. Whereas in the preterito, it's aste, o, amos, astes, aron. And for ER and IR verbs, iste, io, imos, istes, ieron. Now, I do have two nursery rhymes that I'm going to teach you in class. I'll just kind of go through them with you real quick. That will help you to memorize these so you don't have to, so it's easier. So, for example, in el preterito, it's for the AR verbs, it's little Miss Mufe sat on her aste, eating her curds and o. Along came Amos, accompanied by Astes, and so she is not all Aron. And then for the ER and IR verbs, this little piggy went ee. This little piggy went eeste. This little piggy went eo. This little piggy went imos. And the last little piggy went iste, sieron, ieron, all the way home, covering all of the verb endings here in ER and IR. For the imperfect, we have something, if you'll notice that aba is the first three letters in every ending for the AR verbs. So we're going to emphasize that aba to help you remember to use aba with all of these and then just add the extra things that you need for each color. So it's Ali, Baba, Traba, Haba. And then for ER and IR, they all go ia, ia. Notice that the first two letters in every ending is IA, accent on the I. Ia, 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 all the way through. So then we have Rosalia, Lecosia. So when we put it together, it goes like Ali, Baba, Traba, Haba, Rosalia, Lecosia. Kind of like a tongue twister, and it rhymes. And that'll help you to remember the imperfect tense. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about irregular verb endings and verbs, because of course, as you know, Spanish does have some exceptions. In the imperfect tense, we're really lucky. There are only 3 irregular verbs. And the irregular verbs that in the imperfecto are ser, ir, and ver. And on your verb wall chart, they're already conjugated for you, so you just have to memorize those 3 verbs And that's it. It's really simple. But when you go to the Preterito, the completed action side, we have 6 boxes of irregulars. The first box here, these are the ones that change their stems. And what on the chart here, if you notice, like querer goes to quis, hacer goes to is, venir to vin, etc., all the way down. So you'll use that instead of the regular verb. And then you're going to stay in this box and use these verb endings. Don't go to the top. Make sure you use these verb endings to make your conjugation. Okay? Ser and ir has its own box. So remember, ser is to be and ir is to go. But fui means I went. It also means I was. Whereas fuiste means you went or you were. Fue, he went or she went or he or she was, etc. So that's ser and ir. Dar and ver have their own box. And you would conjugate, take off the AR and the ER, so you're left with a D and a V, and then use these endings. So you would get di, diste, dio, dimos, distes, dieron, and the same thing with ver. So that's how you use that box. On the irregular yo box, remember how we had irregular yos in the present tense, our yo-go verbs? Well, we also have some irregular yos in the Preterito, but it's only for the verbs that end in car, gar, or zar. For example, tokar, the verb tokar, would in the yo form only would be toke with a QUE. Llegar would be llegué, and comenzar would be comencé. But then it goes back to normal after the yo, and it's just a regular conjugation in the past tense. We do have boot verbs, but I'm going to talk to you about those on a different day. So you can kind of ignore this box until we go into it in more detail. Okay, before we end this lesson, I do want to concentrate and talk to you a little bit more about the irregulars that have the irregular stems. So let's look at this box one more time. Remember that I had you color some different stars here. One was orange and the other 3 were yellow. And those have significant meanings. So let me go into detail about that. On hacer, that was orange. The stem for hacer is is. And you notice that in orange, that corresponds to the orange ending. So what that means is, in all these other colors, in the yo form and the tu form, hacer is going to be normal in its irregular way, which H-I-C-E, H-I-C-I-S-T-E, but when it gets to the orange color, it's going to go from H-I-C to the C turning to a Z. So that becomes H-I-Z-O. So hacer does something weird in orange color, which is third person. So it becomes H-I-Z-O, but then it goes back to normal, and it would be hicimos, etc. For the 3 that are colored in yellow, decir, traer, and conducir, they all will do the same thing. You notice that they all end in a J, and down here you colored, this is yellow, but also the star is colored yellow that says drop the I. So normally we would have I-E-R-O-N for our ending, but because we have a yellow star on these verbs, they will drop this I and only get E-R-O-N, unlike the other ones in the chart, which will get the I-E-R-O-N. So, for example, decir would become dijeron, D-I-J-E-R-O-N. Trajeron, T-R-A-J-E-R-O-N. And just to show you the difference, if we did tener would be tu vieron. It gets the I-E-R-O-N because it does not have a yellow star. Moving over now, last thing that we haven't talked about is this box that says vocal, vocal. And that means vowel, vowel. So when we have a vowel on one side and a vowel on another side, and an I in between, for example, construyó, to construct, or he constructed, then you have an I and an O and a U in there. The I actually turns to a Y. This only happens, it's 2 colors here, because it only happens in orange and yellow, which is third person singular and third person plural. So I hope this will help you to understand how to use the past tense. And if you need further help, see me in class or email me spiner2 at wcpss.net. Adios.